नमस्ते, सत श्री अकाल, आदाब, हेलो एवरीबॉडी, वेलकम टू इन द एयर ऑन CricTracker। मेरा नाम है निवेदना प्रभु। हम ऑफ कोर्स बात कर रहे हैं अबाउट द इंग्लैंड इंडिया टेस्ट सीरीज। बहुत ही मजा आने वाला है, लेकिन बिफोर दैट ऑफ कोर्स हमें पता है कि कल क्या हुआ था। बारिश की वजह से प्ले अबैंडन हुई थी, लेकिन आज क्या होने वाला है, क्या स्ट्रैटेजी होगी दोनों टीम्स की, उसके लिए बात करने के लिए वी गोना हैव आवर एक्सपर्ट्स ऑन द शो। टू एवरीबॉडी हु इज जॉइंड, हेलो, वी विल बी टेकिंग ऑल योर क्वेश्चंस। हाय निहाल from me and everybody else on the show. So quickly, let me get our first guest on, Pratyay Tiwari, who's a content creator, joining us back in the studio. Hi Pratyay, what are you expecting for today?
Well, I think India has got some 70 runs of that lead that they have managed from the previous day. So they start the day ahead of England. But again, if the openers can try to build upon that and build a good partnership, which has not been the case for England now for quite too long, if they can do that and try to maybe get a total on board, which could challenge the Indians something around 200, 250, apart from the lead that I'm talking about, then India might have to face a bit of trouble. But so far, how the situations have panned out, how the match has progressed, India seems to be in a better position than England.
ठीक है, उनका मानना ये है कि इंडिया की पोजीशन अभी फिलहाल बेटर है कंपेयर टू इंग्लैंड। क्या आप लोग भी वही सोचते हो? हमें बताइए इन कमेंट सेक्शन। अगर आप कोई क्वेश्चंस भी पूछना चाहते हैं तो आवर एक्सपर्ट्स फील फ्री टू पुट दैट इन, आई एम गोइंग टू टेक ऑल ऑफ दोस। ऑन दैट नोट, लेट मी कॉल ऑन आवर सेकंड गेस्ट, हु ऑफ कोर्स इज क्रिकेट कोच एज वेल एज क्रिकेट एनालिस्ट, Rakesh Deva ready joining us. Shashank, I do see your question about the weather update. I'm going to be giving you that, so stay tuned for it. Rakesh, welcome back. What are your expectations from today's match?
देखना है आज वेदर कैसा होता है। वेदर के हिसाब से ये सब पूरा प्लानिंग होगा दोनों टीम का। वो आई एम रियली लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू सी हाउ इज द वेदर गोइंग टू बी, बट स्टिल अभी भी मैं बोल सकता हूँ कि इंडिया थोड़ा आगे है इंग्लैंड से और अच्छा पोजीशन में है। जल्दी जल्दी थोड़ा 2-3 विकेट निकाले तो इंडिया और कंफर्टेबल पोजीशन में होगा, बट देखना है विकेट मिलेगा नहीं तो इंग्लैंड बैट्समैन और थोड़ा कॉम्पैक्ट इनिंग्स खेल के थोड़ा लीड बना के थोड़ा अच्छा स्कोर इंडिया के सामने रखते हैं। ऐसा सब देखना है, लेकिन वेदर के हिसाब वेदर कैसा रहता है वो सब देखना पड़ेगा।
जब आप इंग्लैंड में खेलते हो तो प्लेयर्स की बातें कम होती है, वेदर की ज्यादा होती है, वैसी है मतलब वेदर के बारे में डिस्कस करना ही पड़ता है। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट ऑन दैट नोट. Let's take a quick look at what the weather forecast is looking like for today. Pratyay, I'll come to you. Shashank, we're also answering your question about the weather update. So Pratyay, if you could just take us through that, how this could possibly also affect the game.
See, right from even the start, we were knowing that this is going to be a 5-day passage where there will be a lot of clouds, and we have hardly seen sun apart from day 2. There was a brief passage जब थोड़ी देर के लिए वहाँ पे धूप थी, थोड़ी देर के लिए क्लाउड्स थोड़े से हटे थे. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट इट हैज बीन मोर ऑफ अ केस जहाँ पे ज्यादातर समय बादल रहे हैं, ओवरकास्ट कंडीशंस रही हैं. And now having seen the previous 2 days as well, I think forecast again is pretty similar. So I expect we will all not want that to happen, but weather is something that no one can truly control. So I think that there would be some expectations of play being lost even today. We have already lost, I guess, a significant amount of cricket already in the previous 2 days. And now with just 2 left, if weather permitting, of course, there are potentially you can have some close to 190 overs, provided also that the over rates are taken care of, because these days that's a big problem. Bowlers are not able to complete their overs in time. If 190 overs of play is indeed completed, I definitely think that it will not end up in a draw. And as I even post-match said yesterday, that from here on, I am not, unless something very dramatic happens, I am not seeing India losing this one. So if 190 overs of game is possible, I think that it's only India that can go on to win. If weather does not permit, then of course England would be happier side if they can save themselves with a draw.
Okay. On that note, if you could take a quick look at the scorecard where they left yesterday. So I'm going to get Rakesh's thoughts on that. Rakesh, looking at this performance, of course, I think Pratyay also did comment about that partnership for England, which, I mean, if it turns out to be, if they cement it, then of course, then India will be in trouble. But who are you expecting from India's bowling attack to be doing some damage?
बिल्कुल मोहम्मद शमी और जसप्रीत बुमराह दोनों तो पहला इनिंग्स में भी बहुत अच्छा बॉलिंग किया और विकेट्स भी लिया. ये सेकंड इनिंग्स में भी और दोनों के ऊपर कोहली बहुत एक्सपेक्टेशंस रख के बॉलिंग दे देगा दोनों को, और वो दोनों भी एक्सपेक्टेशन के हिसाब से बॉलिंग करेगा. और थोड़ा बहुत बारिश हुआ और फिर से मैच चालू हुआ तो बॉलर्स के लिए थोड़ा अच्छा रहेगा, फास्ट बॉलर स्पेशली, कुछ बैट्समैन के लिए थोड़ा बहुत तकलीफ हुआ, बॉल रुक के आएगा बैट के ऊपर। ऐसा जब बॉल रुक के आता है, बैट्समैन को बहुत मुश्किल होता है खेलने में, because all the batsmen will be expecting the ball to come nicely onto the bat. When the ball doesn't come, then
Yeah.
they'll get frustrated, because we saw how Rishabh Pant got out as well. So, but I think Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Shami are the two guys which Virat Kohli will be looking forward, and just keeping all the hopes to take wickets.
Okay, if on your hand, if on your side, if these are the two picks, Pratyay, there's a question coming in from Samuel about who would be India's triumph card in terms of the bowler. Are you going with the same option, or are you going with a different one?
I think yes, Jasprit Bumrah definitely, because of the kind of performance he was able to give in the first innings, 4 wickets, and he looked like the Bumrah we know him to be. He had that bite of wicket taking, something that was not with on his side in the World Test Championship final. And I think that given that kind of form, no matter at which level you play, if you're a batsman, if you don't score runs, if you're a bowler, if you don't take wickets, you could have played even 80 test matches, but it starts to kind of eat into your confidence. You start to maybe have a bit of questions that why are things not going my way. So of course, when you go on to any level, you want to perform. And now that he has taken these 4 wickets, and alongside him, I would say Mohammad Shami as well, because these two bowlers are genuinely wicket-taking bowlers. So I think that these are the two bowlers whom India would pin their hopes on. And now with all the confidence from the first inning, I think that Jasprit
Yeah.
Bumrah should only look forward into this series from here on.
Okay, so Samuel, we hope that answers your question. There's another question, Rakesh. I would like to take that one as well about will Shardul and Shami have more swing in the second innings?
सी डेफिनेटली, मैं इससे पहले वो क्वेश्चन को जवाब देते टाइम पे शार्दुल के बारे में बोलना भूल गया। शार्दुल इज अ नेचुरल आउट स्विंगर फॉर अ राइट हैंड बैट्समैन। सो ये
Yeah.
कंडीशंस कल अपन थर्ड डे गेम देखे तो बहुत हवा चल रहा था। ऐसे हवा आज भी चले तो शार्दुल ठाकुर के लिए और बहुत अच्छा होगा। But it all depends on which end he is going to bowl from and which end the wind is coming from. Because if he's bowling against the wind, or easy bowling against the wind, or easy bowling towards the wind, that is also going to be very important. But that will
Yeah.
really help Shardul Thakur, and they will definitely enjoy the swing with the conditions, overcast conditions, and the wind being there. I think yes, we should not forget Shardul as well, because he's a guy who can naturally swings the ball, and he doesn't have that big pace. But when the ball is swinging, if you have that minimum or average pace, then you can really trouble, because we saw him getting out Joe Root in the first innings as well. That was a crucial wicket. Not many
Right.
were discussing about that wicket, because if Joe Root was there, and if he would have scored, if England would have crossed something, maybe if they would have scored another maybe 40 or 50 runs, the situation would have been different. So we should not
Right.
forget Rule's contribution in the first innings as well.
Right, because Joe Root's wicket was obviously that most crucial one in that particular innings, and like you mentioned, they wouldn't have even got that total if it was, not for Joe Root for that matter. Pradeep, I'll come to you about one particular question: will spin bowlers get a chance to turn the game?
Well, see, not too much because a couple of reasons. One, how many spin options do you even have in the match? You're looking at Ravindra Jadeja, and from the other end, you have part-time of Joe Root and Dan Lawrence. So that's it. The selection, the kind of selections both the teams have made, India going in with 4 pacers and only just 1 spinner, England not choosing even one single designated spinner, that tells you that they are not expecting spin to play a huge role. But of course, now that as we progress in any game, the track starts to slow down just that little bit. So maybe it might start to come in play. But what has might work against the spinners or any of them, because there's not going to be a lot of turn, is because 80 overs of cricket has potential play has been already lost, and the pitch is now
Yeah.
that much less deteriorated. Had it been those 80 overs, it would have deteriorated a little bit more. But now with that play lost, pitch is that much more fresh, you can say. So I don't think that spin will play a huge role. Of course, you can expect Jadeja coming in and bowling those tight lines and nagging the batsman, and then maybe creating pressure for the faster bowlers to come in. But I'm not billing too much on spin in this game.
Okay, we hope that answers your question to whoever asked this. Nihal, hi to you. I think you were one of the first people to be joining in. So hello, and I'm going to take your question. The question, Rakesh, basically he has said that India को 200 के अंदर ही England को out करना पड़ेगा, तभी India जीत सकती है.
See, abhi to, I think they are behind some 60 or 70 runs. So the primary task for England team is to score those 60, 70 runs. But meanwhile, when you are trying to score those 60, 70 runs, if India is able to take maybe 4 wickets or something, I think India will have the upper hand. So after that, if England can score some 200, 220 runs, then that will become the target. So we are looking at something around 300 runs or 320 runs, which England can score and put a good total on the board. So that is something we. I mean, I don't think, or I don't see that is going to happen. Still, India is in a comfortable position, but just that if India can take 3 to 4 wickets, maybe by 100 runs or 120, then yeah, India will be in good position. But I don't think India will have a target of maybe. I mean, not more than 200, I would say. I mean, even
Yeah, and also
if England can post something around 200 runs, then they will definitely have the chance. So that is also not possible with the conditions, because we might see
right.
rain, which says that thunderstorms are there.
Yeah, which is what I was going to add. Everything is possible in this particular series if the rain is not going to be playing spoil sport. But I want to talk to both of you, and of course to our viewers as well, about James Anderson, the kind of form he's in, what he's achieved. If we could take a quick look at what VVS Lakshman and Kumble also, have spoken about him. I'll first talk about VVS Lakshman talking about 18 years of hunger and relentless pursuit of excellence at the top level. For any bowler, it is a special effort, but for a fast bowler, it is extra special. Of course, he's congratulating James Anderson on becoming the third highest wicket taker of all time and saying it's richly deserved. On the other hand, of course, who better to be congratulating him than Anil Kumble? He's of course congratulated him, and fantastic to see a fast bowler up there. So let me come to Pratyay, you first. We did speak about all the battles and all of that to do with, of course, Kohli's wicket as well. But let's talk a little bit about him as a cricketer, right? And what he's achieved, and like how they're talking about this fast bowler up there doing the magic that he is. तो आप उनकी जब जर्नी देखते हैं इंटरनेशनल क्रिकेट में, what are your thoughts?
First of all, it's very heartening to see Anil Kumble recognizing one legend, recognizing the another one. So that is very
Yeah.
good to see. As far as Anderson's journey, I guess it has been a brilliant one. Because as I even said yesterday, that column of top three, the top three wicket takers in Test, that has been long unchanged. And if you see the names, all of them are spinners. So for a pacer to be able to even think of getting to that number of 600 wickets is a massive deal, and he has done that, and he's still not over. I personally feel that there is still a good at least 2 to 3 years of cricket left, and the hunger, of course. I mean, you cannot last that long without that kind of hunger that Anderson has, because he has
Yeah.
prioritized his Test cricket. He has not focused on limited overs cricket. He has his goals set. He knows that what he has to do. So very clear thinker, brilliant bowler. There's no doubt on his caliber. And the kind of performances he has given over the past, it has not been a case that he has just had highs. There have been plenty of lows in his career as well, but every
Yeah.
time he has been put under the pump, he has roared his way back on. And I think that this series again is very crucial for him. I don't know if he would be playing all the games because it's a long one, but I think this is a crucial one. And of course, then they have the Ashes. So I think that he would be setting his eye on that, because England Australia, there is no bigger rivalry than that. So if he can turn that heat on in the Ashes, you will just stand and salute that person, 39 years of age, and doing what he is doing.
It's interesting that Pratyay, of course, in the context of India, Australia might be the biggest rivalry, but what we all are, of course, waiting to see is that India-Pakistan clash as well, which is, of course, going to be happening very soon. But let me come to you, Rakesh, and pretty much the same thing in terms of, James Anderson, kind of see, what he achieved over the years. Also, as a, cricket analyst, if you could tell us something interesting looking at this record, we would love to know.
See, it's not an easy feat to achieve for a fast bowler in Test cricket. Generally, in Test cricket, most of the times we see spinners doing the job and spinners getting more opportunity to bowl as many overs as possible. We rarely see fast bowlers. Let's just take an example. Anytime if you see a Test match, let's say if a Test match has gone for 5 days and the scores are big, maybe 600, 700 runs or 500 runs. Mostly you see a spinner bowling 40 overs, 50 overs, 60 overs, and we have seen Muralidharan. I guess he has bowled close to 70 overs, if I'm not wrong, in one innings. So fast bowlers really don't get that opportunity generally to bowl those many overs. taking that
Yeah.
opportunity, because I still remember seeing James Anderson touring Pakistan in his early days, where Yunis Khan, Mohammad Yusuf, he was Yusuf Yohana by then, and Izumamul Haq. All these guys, all these players were very senior players, and this guy coming into the team as a youngster and taking 5 wicket haul. I still remember those days. It was maybe 2003 or 2004 after the World Cup, if I'm not wrong, 2003 World Cup. So from
Yeah.
there to now, if you see the travel, I mean, if you see the travel, it's almost like close to what 18, 19 years, like how Lakshman tweeted. It's a great achievement I mean, to achieve these things. The most important thing is he believes in himself, because 39 years old, swinging the ball on both the ways, reverse swinging the ball, troubling the batsman, one of the best batsmen in the world, getting him out on regular occasion, not just with England, not just with the Indian team, it may be Australia, it may be any other team. He just keeps on troubling the batsman. So his persistence, his discipline, and his commitment,
Hunger.
his self belief, all these things will help him to be hungry, because everybody is hungry. Everybody wants to achieve something, but it's not easy for everybody to achieve. You can only achieve the things when you are disciplined, when you have the persistence, when you have the passion, and when you are committed to do that. This is the most important thing. So I think all these things are all the things which we are discussing, all those four terms, we can clearly see in James Anderson. So all these things made James Anderson to be there in the top list, because I mean, I don't see any other fast bowler in a very soon time breaking that record, and getting into that top position, where they can pull Anderson back and get into that number 3 position for a fast bowler.
As a fast bowler, for from the Indian side, if anybody were to ever achieve that, who would you place your bets on?
It's really a tough thing. See, for fast bowler, generally what happens is, fast bowlers, if you see fast bowlers, generally they get knee injuries and back injuries, and if it is a severe injury, there are high possibilities their careers might end as well. Because the best example is, take Shane Bond of New Zealand. What happened to his, I mean, he was the best bowler in his time. He just played very few test matches, below 40 test matches and below 150 ODIs, but we still remember the Shane Bond's name. Just, I mean, for fast bowler, the career is very short. So if you see Bumrah, he has that capacity to take that cross that at least 500 wicket mark, but it all depends on their fitness levels and the
Right.
formats they're playing and the franchisee cricket being in. So putting all these things, and being a fast bowler, it's really hard for them to maintain their fitness. So it's all depends on their fitness levels.
But if you were to go, you would go with Bumrah as what?
As of now,
Probably. I mean, for
as
now.
of now,
Okay.
yeah. Because
Pradeep, would you like to?
Shami is also very old, maybe 31, 32, and
Right. So of course,
he's an injury prone bowler as
injury
well.
prone.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, in that context of that, right? Pradeep, would you like to answer that, or take that
Uh,
same question?
yeah, I think yes, Jasprit Bumrah, provided he's fit, if he can last that long. A couple of reasons for that is that if you see faster bowlers, the pace bowlers, the amount of see the run up, perhaps as much Anil Kumble would run to deliver in 3 deliveries is how much Anderson would be running to deliver just one ball. So he's running that much more, and that requires a lot more. I'm not saying that spinners cannot get tired, because of course they are bowling. The workload on them is higher. They're bowling 50, 60 overs, as Rakesh said. But
Yeah.
to charge that way in, and fast bowling actually takes a lot of toll on your body. You have to put in a lot. If you have to generate pace, there are so many things, there are so many muscles of your body that work. It tires you, and that is
Yeah.
why it becomes a lot more tough for the pacers. So I think, and
Yeah.
with Jasprit Bumrah, the advantage that I think is, which is both an advantage and disadvantage. His run up is short, very awkward little steps he takes, and then starts to get a little bit of pace. With that short kind of a run up, he's still able to generate that kind of a pace. So there's a lot of physics involved with that. But that aside, his run up is short, but also his run up is something which, in the longer run, is again injury prone, and that can actually cause a bit of trouble to him. So if he is fit, I definitely see. I would not say 600, because that's a massive number. To be very honest, if there's one bowler whom I can really think of in Pacers, it has to be Stuart Broad. Apart from him, I'm not seeing anyone getting close to that 600 mark for now. From India, I would say that Jasprit Bumrah can maybe go on to take 400 wickets if he can last that long. Otherwise, it's very hard.
Right, it all depends on that, right? And that's why Shoaib Akhtar was also not called Rawalpindi Express for nothing. In terms of course, all the comments coming in. Hello to everybody who is, sending us all these shout outs. We're very glad that you could join us. Also, I see Nihal talk about Rishabh Pant saying, "Hare hue match ko bhi jita sakte hain." Well, first match mein to it was debatable, but of course we hope that the next match, I mean the next innings that he plays, he will rectify the mistakes that he did. But before I wrap up, I just quickly want to get both your thoughts on what different style, I mean of course in terms of captaincy the approach is very different, but the way you look at Joe Root handling this tour, and of course Kohli as well. Rakesh, I'll come to you. What is the biggest distinctive approach you're seeing in this particular tour?
It's completely different because it's really hard to see what I mean. Compare the captains because
It's different.
every captain is a human being before he's a captain. So every mind has different thoughts.
Yeah.
Basically, when we talk about Virat Kohli, we say he's an aggressive player, but
Yeah.
I don't see that too many aggressive thoughts as a captain. In Virat Kohli. For that matter, I just want to give an example. In Australia's tour, after India got all out for 36, the second test where India won and Ajinkya Rahane was the captain. So the
Yeah.
body language of Ajinkya Rahane looks very calm, but the thoughts in him are very aggressive. So this is something which we really need to understand. The thoughts have to be aggressive. I mean, aggressive. It doesn't mean that taking that instinctive decisions which can really help the team. So nobody can match Mahendra Singh Dhoni in those taking the decisions and instinctive decisions. But at least if you compare Joe Root and Virat Kohli, I think Virat Kohli is slightly on the upper side than Joe Root in taking that instinctive decision. So that is slightly better for India with Virat Kohli being the captain when we compare with Joe Root.
Joe Root. And Pradeep, would you like to add in terms of approach, not comparing them as captains like what Rakesh aptly said, but just the approach? I really want to know in terms of the series and the kind of pressure probably they have. What do you kind of view that as?
See, I think India has been, both of these countries, India and England, have been the top two nations when you look at in the recent past or even 5, 7 years down the line. These two countries have been dominating Test cricket alongside Australia. There have been minor blips, ups and downs, barring those. These are the two nations that you really look forward to when you talk about Test cricket. The thing is that Virat Kohli, apart from all his tactical news and whatever he brings onto the table as a captain, he's someone who is very determined. He's someone who does not, who hates to lose. No captain wants to lose, but the amount of pain that a loss gives to Virat Kohli, I guess, is the highest amongst any captain that you would see, and that is perhaps the reason that he has been able to take the charge of the country, and India has dominated the Test setup for so many years. For 5 years, that's a streak that you can be as proud about as anything, because 5 years dominating in Test cricket is remarkable. So I think the approach in terms of, if you talk about, he is someone who hates to lose, and one thing that
Yeah.
he has been very, I would not exactly say lucky, but in a sense, yes, he has been, is that he has had a lot of good bunch of players to play around with. The reason that Joe Root, perhaps if you see the England setup right now, with now this particular side with Ben Stokes missing out, Jofra Archer missing out, the top three not being in that great form as we keep talking about Rory Burns, Dom Sibley, and Zach Crawley. He himself has had a lean patch of sorts. So I think that given all that, he has still managed to lead well in the Test format, and England have also managed to travel well. They have won in Sri Lanka. They've managed to win one Test in India as well. Eventually, they lost it. But I think that yes, England also has been quite up in their ranks, given what all has been transpiring in their unit. So as Rakesh said, I think I will agree with him that it's very hard to compare to individuals. But in terms of
Yeah.
captain styles, if you simply talk about that, Virat Kohli and Joe Root are very different in terms of how they
Right.
approach.
And of course, Rakesh has given that,
Yeah,
stamp like everybody else has.
one thing we can add here is the best example in this particular match itself. When things were working out really well, who would expect Joe Root to get Sam Curran and ball, because Sam Curran was being so expensive, and how Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj whacked him, and that particular 15-20 runs really made a big difference from the
Very true.
lower order, from the tail enders. See, at that point
Right.
of time, Joe Root would have got maybe Ollie Robinson or maybe Anderson, because the way how Shami got out, the ball was cutting in, because the tailenders doesn't really have that strong and sound technique. So that's where he missed to contain those 20 to 25 runs. So that would have made a big difference. So the best example which we have seen in this match, how a captain can be very instinctive and check. I mean, he needs to just visualize. Visualization is very, very important, because tailenders, they don't have technique. When the ball is moving, when the ball is swinging, that's how you can get the wickets. But when the ball is not moving and the bowler is bowling short, bowler is bowling fuller, any batsman can just swing the bat by closing the eyes and get runs. So that's what Siraj and Bumrah. I mean, Bumrah was being little.
Yeah, and Bumrah's six was.
Yeah, but still, when you get a bad ball, then that's what you do. So that is where Joe Root have missed containing that 20 to 25 runs.
Right. Well, if that he is probably going to rectify that or not is, we'll have to wait and watch. Satish asking us about kya KL Rahul can be Indian team captain in future. Well, we did have this discussion yesterday, so you can definitely go on CricTracker's social media channels and watch our post-match analysis, because both our experts have spoken about it in detail and let us know what you think. But on that very note, what are the predictions, or rather, what are the kind of developments we would like to see in this particular session before we wrap up? Fateh?
I think India would be wanting to take as many wickets as possible. Overcast conditions, the ball would be moving, and if they can use that advantage, two batsmen not in great form. Rory Burns missed out, went out cheaply in the first innings, as did Sibley. So I think that they will be under pressure. If they can initially in the first couple of hours, in the first hour, if they can try to maybe get into the third or fourth wicket, then it will start becoming tough for them, for England. And for them, it would be about building on, trying to first of all get rid of these 90 runs, because it starts to kind of get onto your head when you have the amount of runs in front of you. Once you are past that and you realize that now we are adding on to the runs, we are setting a target, it kind of starts to just settle your nerves. So for them, it would be about if they can try to get all these 90 runs without even losing a single wicket. So that means that they are effectively now 0 for 0. And from there on, they can try to maybe look at a target of something like 200, 225. That could challenge the Indians.
Right. And Rakesh, coming to you before we wrap up.
मेरा जवाब भी प्रत्येक प्रोफेसर ने बोल दिया. वही दोनों टीम, इंडिया तो वही 4-5 विकेट निकालने के लिए देखते रहते हैं पहला सेशन में, और इंग्लैंड भी ऐसे ही देखते हैं कि बिना विकेट लूज होके थोड़ा बहुत स्कोर बनाओ बोलके. So that's what it's a very simple.
That's probably the approach, right? Yeah, right. Okay. Approach. So of course, the coach Saab has said it, Professor Saab has said it. क्या वो होने वाला है या नहीं? We will tell you in the post-match analysis that we're going to be doing on day 4. ना भूलिएगा to join us once again as we're going to discuss. और हम सब like everybody else is also expecting कि rain ना हो and does not spoil the game, because we all want to watch it and get a result at the end of the day. But on that note, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you to our experts for also coming on the show. We will see you on the other side. But until then, of course, stay tuned to CricTracker for the latest news in the world of cricket.